My family is broken now.
I don't think this was random.
I don't believe a murder was the motive for the crime. I believe it started out as being a robbery.
It's very, very frustrating to know that they're still walking.
It make you angry, the pain and the hurt and the people's lives he destroyed. How he just ripped our spirit to pieces. Take an old man life like that. They live in the Aragona Village area. They live there now for about, I say maybe 50-something years. My grandfather, he just got in where he fit in. Like, he was just like an all-around type of guy, jack of all trades.
I can tell you, every Valentine's Day, he made sure that his granddaughters had something. Box of chocolates. We would come home from school and there would be balloons or chocolate or, whatever he decided to get us.
It was really nice growing up. I had a nice, I can't say anything, bad, anything. Everything was really nice.
He made sure that we took trips, Disney World. We traveled to Georgia and to Texas to go see his family,
He was just a man of care and help. He did a lot of good deeds for people. He was very involved with the neighbors. He knew everybody in the neighborhood.
If people would call him to ask him, can you come check on my car? Can you come check on my light switch? Can you come check on my plumbing? He was always there when people needed him. Really, always, always. It was like he couldn't say no. We'll give you the shirt off his back. He was a very generous, church-going, very, very into church. I always used to tell him he was everything but the pastor.
And all my pastors, that's one of the best individuals I've met. He didn't talk about his religion, he lived it every day. And it wouldn't be anything, anytime you could come by, sometime he would be here. Every Sunday, and almost every day, you could come by here and he would stop by the church and check the church out. Anything that needed to be done, he could do it. Whether it was the grounds, whether it was the vehicles, whether it was just make sure the building itself, the leaks or anything in the building. He was just always the type of individual that would help you anytime you needed help, and always had a smile on his face.
I would say he was the man at church. He did everything for our church, from keeping the upkeep inside of the church to the landscaping. He was on the deacon board, I believe. Just the go-to guy for everyone.
He was like the chief of our family. He kept us together.
He came over to my house every Saturday to cut my grass. And the deal was, I was to make sure there was a tall glass of cold water for him. That was the last time I seen my grandfather.
I got a call, and we had just left. I had just left from here at the church, and around about 11 o'clock, they said, Pastor Willie's been shot. What? Been shot? We just left each other, and we got down to his house, and of course it was a crime scene, crime tape, and the police were there, and so you couldn't get but so close. And everybody, the family, everybody was just all over crying, and everybody was in shock.
When I arrived here, I seen police cars everywhere and family members standing outside of the house. Me and my sister, we stayed until the sun rose.
And I was just like, I'm not going nowhere till they take my grandfather's body from out the house. So I sat there like 18 hours outside.
At that point, we were allowed to come into the home. As we were coming down the stairs, we just kind of, at least I know I did, had this cold feeling.
I didn't know when I went downstairs that it would be all of that down there. I wasn't expecting that. The house was destroyed downstairs in the den.
I remembered walking into the second den, which is the garage that has been redone, remodeled, and you could just see a big puddle of blood, and my grandfather's blood was everywhere on the floor. It was the worst scene ever. Whatever was happening downstairs, it seems as if he was putting up a fight. Everything was tore up and out of place. There were bullet holes everywhere.
The house just smelled like flesh and gun smoke. It just smelled really bad. I just couldn't stop staring. And as I would stare, it was just blood, and I just couldn't stop staring because I just wanted to know, wanted to have some answers.
You know, we preach and we say, you never know when's your last day, but that was a really hit reality. That night, that day, I was one of the last people to see him alive. And that's something you always remember.
And as I was passing, I noticed the light that comes on when people come up. You call it a floodlight. I guess you know when it comes on with somebody, I don't know who, somebody was behind the truck, because I could see like a shadow. And that light do not come on unless somebody's close. I just felt right numb, because I'm thinking now, if I had stopped, I don't know what the outcome would have been.
They didn't hear anything initially, like anybody come in and out. They just heard the gunshots and then people exiting or the door slamming. Whoever came into the house exited through that front door, which was a landing. The crime scene area was a little bit downstairs, so they had to come back up to the middle of the house and exit that door. They actually saw the door slam, one of the family members.
Pretty robust crime scene. There was clearly signs of a struggle in the house, which eventually led to Mr. Chapel being shot to death. One of the biggest pieces of evidence was one of the shell casings that was on the ground. And there was a hat that was actually over the shell casing, which theorized that one of the perpetrators likely dropped the hat during the struggle. And there was DNA evidence that supported that.
And so we kind of focused on that. So the next thing I had to do was actually send the hat off for DNA analysis. The hat was sent off to the forensics lab, and a DNA profile came back of a mixture.
In this case, we believe that there was a group of individuals that essentially were on a crime spree throughout Hampton Roads.
I don't think this was random. I feel like the perpetrators, killers, murderers that came into our home, they knew exactly what they were coming for. They probably was not expecting this elderly man to whoop their butts. And it went sour. It went the wrong way. Didn't surprise me at all to see that my grandfather put up a fight. Whatever he done and whatever he's done in life, he has always put up a fight.
The victim was actually seen going into Norfolk a lot, back and forth. I think they tried to follow him, and they may have gotten misinformation about how much money the victim had. But I think it would take advancement in DNA evidence or an individual coming forward with an admission. Maybe, hopefully, one day they can find it in their souls to tell the truth and give us closure. I am retired, but I believe the Virginia Beach Police Department will keep this case and the cold case active and will try their best to solve this case. There are cases that sometimes don't end until 10, 15, 20 years later. So even after I retire, there are notes and there are detectives that can pick up from where I left off.
We know there's people that can solve these cases. We ask to pick up the phone, log onto your computer, and talk to us. Don't take it to your grave. We need to provide closure to these families.
I miss being able to call him. If I call my dad and ask him for anything, he might ask me what you need it for. Then again, 9 times out of 10, he might not.
I would hug my grandfather and just the love and the love that I would get, the vibe, the feeling, the energy I would get just from hugging him just had me feeling secure and safe.
I think what I miss most about him is being able to hug him. Being able to check up on him and my grandma like I usually do. He was always there for me.
I tell my children about him all the time. It's funny because when I go do like my catering jobs, they always say, I know your granddaddy looking down on you, he happy for you, mommy. And I just walk to the car with like my trays, put them in the car, whatever I need, and sit in the car and cry.
And why would somebody just come and just snatch his life away just like that? When he was a friend to strangers, a friend to his family, and he loved them so much. I miss his friendship, his camaraderie, his encouragement as a leader. When I walk in his church, I just think about it. When I look around, I just can't forget him.
We used to have cookouts and family functions and stuff like that. We no longer do that anymore. We lost a lot.
These guys are still out. You don't know why they came. You don't know who they wanted, who they were after. It's 1,000 houses on the block. Why did they choose that one?
I would tell them to think of their grandfather. Think of what type of man their grandfather was and how they felt about their grandfather. I want them to know that they took something very special from this family. My grandfather was the rock of this family, the glue. And they took something that we can never get back again.
Somebody knows something. Somebody knows something. I wish that you would go ahead and let somebody know, let a detective know, report it, so we can have closure.
Closure for me is whatever my grandmother wants. Whatever she feels she needs. And what she feels she needs is justice for her husband. The killers to be behind bars.
That's the most sad part about it. Take an old man life like that. Somebody's father, grandfather, great-grandfather. the people's lives he impacted. And I had to think, like, what would my grandfather do? He would forgive them. Just like he forgave me when I messed up thousands of times. Just the heart he had. Just so many memories.
We rely on the relationship we have with our community to get cases like these solved. If you have any information, please call us at 1-888-LOCK-YOU-UP or the Virginia Beach Police Detective Bureau at 757-385-4101.